Level 1. The clean room. The badge doesn't work the first time. You swipe it again. The light blinks green. The door hisses open and you step into a corridor that smells like nothing. Literally nothing. Filtered air. Controlled humidity. A hallway that has been scrubbed of the world. You are 24 years old. You have a master's degree in biochemistry from a state school nobody at this company has heard of. You found the job listing on LinkedIn at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. You applied in your pajamas. Now you're here. Your title is Research Associate 1. Your salary is $58,000. Your badge is gray. You will learn very quickly that badge color means everything. The lab is enormous. 40-foot ceilings. Rows of benches that look like operating tables. Equipment you recognize from textbooks but have never touched with your own hands. A centrifuge the size of a washing machine. PCR machines lined up like soldiers. A biosafety cabinet that cost more than your car. Your supervisor's name is Dr. Renata Moss. She is 41. She has published 37 papers. She does not smile when she meets you. She hands you a laminated sheet. Standard operating procedures, she says. Memorize them. You don't ask what happens if you don't. The work is mechanical. You pipette. You label. You log. You run assays that you don't fully understand because you're only given one piece of the puzzle. That's intentional. You figure this out around week 3. Nobody tells you what the compound is called. You refer to it in your notebook as Compound 7. Everyone does. That's what they're told to call it.
You make mistakes. Small ones. A mislabeled sample. A missed incubation window by 4 minutes. Dr. Moss says nothing, but she reruns the experiment herself. You watch her do it. You don't make that mistake again. This is the level where you learn that precision is not a virtue here. It's a minimum requirement. You eat lunch alone for the first 6 weeks. The cafeteria has a section where the senior researchers sit. You don't go there. You don't know yet that you're being watched, that they assess whether you belong here not by your credentials, but by how you behave when nobody seems to be looking. You belong here. You just don't know it yet. At the end of month 4, Dr. Moss tells you that you'll be included in the next phase briefing. You nod like it's nothing. It isn't nothing.
Level 2, the protocol. They give you access to the compound's actual name. You are now a Research Associate 2. Your salary is $67,500. Your badge is still gray, but it opens 2 additional doors. The difference feels enormous. You don't say this out loud. The compound is a kinase inhibitor. It targets a specific protein involved in the progression of a rare autoimmune disorder that affects roughly 200,000 people in North America. The market is small. The pricing potential is not. You understand this without anyone explaining it. You're a scientist, not an economist, but you've started paying attention to things that weren't in your job description. You're part of a 6-person team now. 3 associates, 2 senior scientists, and Dr. Moss. You run efficacy trials on cell lines. You document everything. You attend a weekly team meeting where results are shared in a format so specific it feels like a liturgy. Same slides, same order, same questions asked the same way. You learn the unwritten hierarchy of that meeting. Who speaks first? Who gets interrupted? Who never gets interrupted? How Dr. Moss signals disapproval, not with words, but with a pause that lasts exactly 1 beat too long before she moves to the next agenda item. The work gets harder. You start coming in at 7 a.m. and leaving at 7:30 p.m. Not because anyone tells you to, because the person at the bench next to you does. Because the data is moving. Because there's something in the numbers that feels like it's building towards something real. One night, at 6:45, you catch an anomaly in the cell viability data. A deviation that shouldn't be there. You stay 2 more hours verifying it. You document it with the precision of someone filing a legal document. The next morning, you show Dr. Moss. She reads your report. She looks at you. Good catch, she says. That's it. 2 words. You will remember them for years. The anomaly turns out to be a significant finding. It shifts the direction of phase 2. A paper is published 8 months later. Your name is 4th on the author list. Nobody outside the lab knows what that means. Inside the lab, everyone does. You're no longer the new one.
Level 3, the brief. They stop explaining things to you, not because they don't trust you, because they don't have to anymore. You already know. You walk into the weekly brief and you've already run the numbers in your head. You already know which results are going to cause problems and which ones are going to get someone promoted. Your title is now Senior Research Associate, $84,000, a blue badge, access to the compound library on the 3rd floor, which requires a second scan and a PIN. You know what's in that library. 43 active compounds at various stages. 7 of them will never make it past preclinical. 2 of them are going to make the company more money than anyone at your level is allowed to know. You know this because you've started asking questions that nobody told you to stop asking. You have 2 junior associates on your bench now. They look at you the way you used to look at Dr. Moss.
You don't smile when you meet them. You hand them laminated sheets. The culture starts to show itself more clearly at this level. You see who's protected and who isn't. There's a senior scientist named Marcus who's been here 11 years. His results are consistently mediocre. He never gets pushed out. His wife used to work in the VP's division. This is never said aloud. It doesn't need to be. You watch this. You say nothing. You also watch what happens to a researcher named Dr. Yeon Park. Her data is exceptional. Her compound, one she's been developing independently within the team framework, shows a 34% improvement in target binding affinity over the existing lead. The news travels up the chain in 48 hours. 2 weeks later, she's been moved to a new project. Her compound stays. Her name on future filings will be listed as contributing researcher. You process this, you adjust. The adjustment doesn't feel like a compromise yet. It feels like intelligence. Level 4, the transition. Dr. Moss takes a position in Basel. You apply for her role. So does Marcus. So does a scientist named Dr. Lena Osei, who has been brought in laterally from a competing firm, with a reputation that precedes her by 6 months. You don't get the role. Dr. Osei does. She's sharper than you, more strategic, and she comes with relationships that have dollar values attached to them. You know this, and you respect it. What you get instead is a project lead position on Compound 19, a chronic inflammatory condition, 1.4 million patients in Western markets, a compound with genuine promise and a development timeline of 4 to 6 years minimum. Your title is Research Scientist. $103,000 plus a performance bonus structure that is explained to you in a 30-minute meeting with someone from HR who does not make eye contact. Your badge is white. White means you can go most places. You build your team. You choose deliberately. You don't choose the most credentialed. You choose the most precise. The ones who stay late, not because they're trying to impress you, but because they can't let the data go unresolved. You recognize them because you used to be them. The work is different now. You're not running experiments. You're designing them, approving them, reading reports that other people wrote, and understanding within 3 sentences whether the person who wrote them actually understands what they found. You sit in meetings with regulatory affairs, legal, business development. You hear numbers you've never heard before. A single phase 3 trial costs between $200 and $300 million. A failed compound at that stage is a wound the company doesn't fully recover from for 2 to 3 years. You feel the weight of this. You don't show that you feel it. That's the job now. Level 5, the room. There is a room on the 8th floor. You knew it existed before you were ever allowed in it. You'd seen people walk toward the elevator and press 8. You'd seen them come back, different, quieter, more deliberate. Now you press 8. The room is a conference room. Glass walls with electronic privacy tinting. A table made of something that costs more than furniture should cost. A screen at the far end that shows a live pipeline dashboard. Every compound, every stage, every projected revenue figure, every risk rating. You are a principal scientist now. $138,000 base. Equity, a bonus that last year was $31,000. A corner office on the 6th floor with a window that faces the campus courtyard. The people in this room are the people who decide which science gets funded. Not based purely on the science, based on the intersection of the science, the market, the timeline, the regulatory landscape, and the company's position in 3 places simultaneously: the current quarter, the 5-year plan, and the competitor pipeline. You present Compound 19 to this room. 18 months of work compressed into 12 slides. You've rehearsed, not the words, the answers. The questions they're going to ask before they ask them. They ask them, you answer. There is a man at the end of the table named Richard Haas, EVP of Research and Development. He has been at this company for 22 years. He has shepherded 4 drugs from molecule to market. He listens to your entire presentation without moving. When you finish, he says, "What's the failure scenario?" Not the risk, the failure scenario. The specific, detailed, catastrophic failure scenario. You have it ready. You had it ready before you walked in. He nods once. The compound gets full funding. Phase 2 begins in 11 months. That night, you sit in your car in the parking garage for 20 minutes before driving home. Not celebrating, just processing. You've crossed something. You're not sure what, but you crossed it.
Level 6. The architecture. Phase 2 results come back. Statistically significant reduction in inflammatory markers. Acceptable safety profile. 2 adverse events, both resolved, neither attributed to the compound with certainty. The company's stock price doesn't move because this information is not yet public. But inside the building, the energy shifts. You feel it in the speed of emails, in the way people look at you in the hallway. You are now Director of Research, Immunology. $190,000. An administrative assistant named Priya who is more competent than half of your department and knows it. A team of 41 people across 3 labs. A seat on the R&D Leadership Council. You make decisions now that you used to watch other people make. Decisions about which researchers get resources, which projects get extended, which ones get quietly archived, which people get developed, and which people get managed out with language so careful it sounds almost kind.
You have learned the language. You have also learned that power at this level is not loud. It's structural. It's in the agenda you set for a meeting, the order in which you call on people, the questions you ask publicly versus the ones you ask privately, the way you respond to an email within minutes for some people and within 2 days for others, and how both of those are intentional. Richard Haass calls you directly now, not through assistants, directly. The first time it happens, you're in your car. You answer, you talk for 11 minutes. You hang up, and you sit there. And you think about the person you were in that first corridor, with the badge that didn't work. You don't recognize her. That's not a loss. You've decided that.
Level 7. The wait. Compound 19 has a name now. The company calls it Verilux. The marketing team spent $2.3 million arriving at that name. A name designed to feel like light, like relief, like the absence of pain. Phase 3 trials are underway across 6 countries, 2,800 patients enrolled, a data safety monitoring board reviewing results in real time, a regulatory submission that will take 18 months to prepare and cost more than the GDP of several small nations. You are VP of Research and Development. You did not campaign for this role. Richard Haass called you into his office on a Thursday afternoon and said, "We're restructuring the function. I want you running it." You said yes. You did not feel joy. You felt something more like inevitability. Your compensation package takes 90 minutes to explain. You leave that meeting with a number in your head that you never say out loud to anyone, not even your partner, because the number changes how people see you, and you need people to see you clearly. The decisions at this level are not about science anymore. You read about science. You protect science. You fund science. But the decisions you make are about risk, exposure, liability, timeline, and competitive positioning. You sit on calls with the FDA, with patent attorneys, with the head of commercial who is already building the sales infrastructure for a drug that hasn't been approved yet. There is a researcher in the immunology division, young, rigorous, reminds you of yourself in a way that is uncomfortable. She has found a potential dosing issue in the phase 3 protocol, a signal in the data that may or may not be meaningful. You read her report at 1 a.m. on a Saturday. You sit with it for a long time. You convene a safety review panel the following Monday, not because the legal team recommended it, because you cannot look at a signal in safety data and make it disappear. You know the cost of that. The industry knows the cost of that. You have seen companies dismantled by it. The review concludes the signal is noise, documented, verified. The trial continues. You sign the authorization. Your hand doesn't shake, but you don't sleep well for 3 weeks. Level 8. The silence. Verilux is approved. The FDA letter arrives on a Tuesday. It is a PDF, 23 pages. You read every word. Then you close your laptop and you sit in your office on the 14th floor. You have the 14th floor now, or most of it. And you look at the courtyard below and you think about 1.4 million people. People whose inflammation will diminish, whose mornings will be easier, who will not know your name,
who will never know the compound was nearly shelved in year 2 when the board lost confidence, who will never know about the signal, who will never know the cost of the decisions that brought this to them. You are Chief Science Officer. Your name is on the building's founding patent roster, on the regulatory submission, on the clinical study reports that will exist in regulatory archives longer than you will exist anywhere.
You are 53. Your team is 200 people. You know perhaps 40 of them by name. You attend their meetings, but you no longer run them. You set the direction. The direction becomes the culture. The culture becomes the system. The system runs without you being in every room. This is what they don't tell you in the beginning, that the goal is to make yourself ambient, to be everywhere by being in almost nothing. You think about Marcus, who is still here, still producing mediocre results, still protected by architecture you no longer have the patience to dismantle. You think about Dr. Yane Park, whose name appears on a competitor's most recent breakthrough. You think about Dr. Moss, who you had lunch with at a conference in Zurich 4 years ago. She ordered sparkling water and told you without sentiment that she was proud of what you'd built. You think about that clean corridor, the badge that didn't work. The isolation at this level is not loneliness. It's something more precise than that. It's the specific silence of being the person everyone calibrates themselves against. Every conversation in this building is in some way a conversation about you, about what you will think, what you will approve, what you will not tolerate. People stop telling you the truth automatically. You have to design systems to get the truth out of people who are afraid of disappointing you. This is one of the things nobody warns you about. You fund the next generation of compounds. 11 active programs. 2 of them are the kind of science that makes you remember why you started, that makes the work feel like discovery again. Briefly, before it becomes a budget line and a risk rating and a board presentation. You protect those 2. Everything else is infrastructure. The return. There is a corridor on the first floor, a door that hisses open, air that smells like nothing. A young researcher in a new badge, gray, standing at the threshold of a lab that looks enormous, equipment she's only seen in textbooks, a supervisor who does not smile, a laminated sheet. She doesn't know what the compound is called. She'll call it Compound 7. She'll make small mistakes. She'll stay late. She'll catch something in the data that no one else caught, and she'll be terrified to say it. And then she'll say it anyway. She thinks the work is the work. She doesn't know yet that the work is only the beginning of what the work is. Somewhere above her, on the 14th floor, you are reading a pipeline report. You already know her name. She doesn't know yours yet. She will.